We should be live. Don't be saying no swearing words. There's the beep on your phone.
There's the beep on my phone. I'm going to kill my space heater.
Oh, all right. I'll turn mine off too.
Well, I don't care if you turn yours off. I can't hear yours, so I don't care.
Yeah. So yeah, I was at 2880.
Oh, I think I killed that tab.
And I think you were 2882 or something like that.
Yep, 2882.74.
So there you go. I got a 2 cents lower basis on you there. All right, so then I need to put Slack over here. Chat room, are you hearing us already? Are you excited?
Good morning, chat room.
It should be.
I swear the temperature dropped like 10 degrees.
Instant freezing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are missing all of our stock tips. We were working the stock lines.
We were wheeling and dealing using terms like market cap, baseball cap. It's all.
Yeah, our bases. I don't think we used it correctly, but we said it.
I did. I absolutely said it. Yeah, I have no idea what it really means, but I felt really smart when I said it. Yeah, so the reason it dropped, Mark, is because my office is in the corner of the house and it's got external. It's very chilly. So I have a space heater running and I shut that off so you wouldn't hear the sound coming through. Oh, that reminds me, I've got a spot on my blog where it still says Monday.
Lori, are you joining us today? I see you.
We have a special guest today. Yeah.
Our executive producer is joining. Hi, Dave. Glad you found us. Yeah, that's there you go. We should just start a separate podcast for all of our wonderful stock words.
Yeah.
Not advice, not guidance, just stock words.
Stock words. Yeah, I think the SEC would get involved and ban us because of how terrible it is.
Yeah, they're busy hunting down all those ICO people right now.
Yeah.
SEC's a little mad at all them. Oh, Corey, we missed you too. No one's been here to correct us, tell Todd how ugly he is. It's been rough.
That's because I'm not. Oh.
Yeah. The good news though, Todd, right? This might save, be foreshadowing for the show, but I'm kind of rocking. Oh, it's this side. This way, right? I'm rocking some kind of weird little sticky up things over here. You've got.
There we go.
You've got them on both sides.
I've just got the big one right in the back.
Your other side's pretty.
Is it? Am I looking nappy? Yeah.
No, I mean you look like you, but.
Screw you.
We're just old, right? It's the point we're supposed to shave our heads, I think.
Nah, it's just so I got those. Yeah, dumb things. Yeah, it's all colics. Well, it's colics and the fact that my haircut lady moved and I'm not willing to drive 40 minutes to. I mean, I've had these colics since I've had hair. This is not new.
Well, I had forever, right? I get curls right here, like right on the sides.
Sounds adorable.
Oh,
I mean, just sounds cute as a button.
All right, just shave that stuff so there's no doing. The same, like when I try to grow a mullet, it comes out the back and it starts curling up. There's no going down.
There is one school picture. I was probably 12, maybe 13, where I tried to grow my hair out, and it was. You think my hair looks bad now? Good Christ, it was just a mess. And it was one of those things where my parents did exactly the right thing. I was trying to be rebellious and grow my hair out and raise hell, and they're like, "You go, you do it," because they knew that deal would fix itself. I grew it out, and it looked horrible, and I got it cut, and they never said a word. It was. Yeah. And Dave, to answer your question, the Bluetooth headphones are working today, right now, but we are 7 minutes away from going live. And they crapped out about 5 minutes from now last week. So I've got the backup headphones right here because I know how this is going to work. So.
Yeah. It's funny, right? We were in two parts of the world, but at about the same time, I had the same mullet kicking. I have a school picture with curls here, curls over here, and then spiky straight up here.
Yeah, mine was just bushy, except here where it curled up and looked bad. I was bushy in the front and dumb in the back. It was pretty horrible.
There you go. We should get our moms on here and be like, "Hey, will you bring some school pictures? These guys want to see what we looked like."
There is no way that I would allow that to happen. As a matter of fact, so, one of my friends, I took a picture with him however many years ago and published it to Facebook. And so Facebook brought the memory up yesterday and then brought our, our anniversary, our friend anniversary up today. And the picture of me is so bad. I mean, I'm okay at laughing at myself, but this picture is so bad I wouldn't even share it with it so you could see it. I'm like, oh, no way.
That's not happening.
No, not even a chance. Stacy, yes, Shane and I talk like high school girls all of the time. That is just, yeah.
Just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I have these backwards. So you go.
All right, I'm going to go refill my drink.
Good luck with that.
Yep. I'll be back in a second. This would be a prime time for my Bluetooth headphones to quit working. I will leave them here, but...
Good luck. Chat room, what should we talk about while Todd's gone? Should we talk about the fact that it's just nice, the silence? I don't have to hear anything. I wouldn't even need... If Todd wasn't here, I wouldn't have to have these silly headphones in. You wouldn't see these wires on my face. It would be glorious. Oh. My ankle's popping. Wednesdays are tough. I play volleyball on Tuesday nights, so, my old bones have a hard time waking up on Wednesday morning. Because I'm old. Oh, Dave, I'm supposed to press the button. Darn it. Stacy, you can barely hear me? That seems sad face. Anybody else? Who else can't hear me? Anyone else? Mark can hear me. No, Mark, you're so lucky. Lori, you're the best. Lori, we should catch up afterwards. I'd hear about how that fancy new job's going. Oh, Mark found Old Man Karate. Is that was that Deadpool training for you? Wah. Dave's playing Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft in a long time. My kids have kind of gotten out of it a little bit. They really want to play, what is it? They want to play Fortnite, but I won't let them play that, so it's been tough. Well, Lori, I can talk about Power BI. Well, Stacy, I would kill your connection, burn your computer, and all those things, and then buy something new if it was only going to let you hear Todd and not me. That's just sad. Now, Mark, we don't want you to end up in traction, so maybe you should scale it down. You should go into like those fifth grader karate class or 5-year-old karate classes, right? We just learn to stand up straight. Be like, yes, sensei, wah! Oh, that was a horrible sound.
I didn't even say anything yet.
You came back and were like,
I don't believe that.
and you're pixelated to all get out. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. I need to get some light here.
One of our two machines are having a hard time talking to the other. Your video is laggy for me, so I can't imagine what it is for these poor guys.
And we need some more light.
Close that.
Yeah, it does say there's a problem with the internet connection between you.
Skype is not warning me about that. There's 2 minutes. We knew something was going to go wrong.
Yeah, okay, so I can do this.
Yeah. Well, right now, I wouldn't even bother fixing the lights. Might as well just take your pants off. No one can see anything.
See, that's funny that you think I was wearing pants.
Yeah, when you went to do that thing, you came back and it's just all heck broke loose.
So let me see.
Stacy's having a hard time. Well, we saw Facebook was broken earlier, so maybe the whole internet's down. People
Yep.
can't post on their Facebook walls. The internet as a whole just. Oh. Now,
I'm doing a speed test and it seems to be working.
Yes, you just want to hang up and call me back?
Well, so Lori's saying it's getting better.
No, you just stopped moving. That was all it was. I'm watching it. I mean, it's terrible. If I'm seeing it terrible, there's no way they're seeing something better than what I'm seeing.
All right, so let me look. Wow, look at my router, see if it's doing anything crazy. No, there's not crazy traffic or anything. So you just want me to hang up and dial back?
Yeah, let's just do that.
Okie dokie.
There you go, guys. He's gone. Life is perfect now. We'll just keep telling him his video is really bad, so he won't participate in today's show. All right, here we go. We're going to answer his phone call.
I'm back.
All right, you're back. Oh, you're better. You're still not perfect, but you're a lot better.
It's interesting. So internet connection is fine. I mean,
Yeah, mine's fine. Yours is fine. But yet it
box itself. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So right now you're good. Who knows?
All right, I will close all the distracting graphs and moving pieces and all that because I
Slide you this way a little bit.
close E-Trade, all the other websites I'm looking at that are distracting me. All right, PowerShell, I'm gonna minimize that. That's distracting me. I've been doing a bunch of really fun but probably worthless stuff.
Oh yeah, how's the video? Are you still?
I just need to do it. I've got. Oh, you can see all the notes. I'm just afraid of screwing it up, and I just need to do it. Bite the bullet and be done with it.
Yeah, well, no. The good news is I've always found if you make one, it's terrible. The second one's always better.
That's true. By way of comparison.
But I mean, no, it's just one of those things, right? The more times you go through it, just like like our admin or upgrade classes, we've done it so many times now. It just happens now. Okay, let's see. I'll close this browser too, just to make sure it's not me in any way. I know it's not.
Turn off my Bitcoin monitor, Kyle. Are you mad? It's my Bitcoin miner is exactly. It's the only way this thing pays.
Yeah. My Bitcoin miner, I am up to almost 0.01 Ethereum from mining.
Have you figured out yet what that's costing you power-wise?
Nope.
So, I put one of those things on my computer so I can kind of get a baseline for how much my computer uses, which has been interesting because I've got my rate and all that. But what I found is they update the firmware on that little plug all the time. And you know what they have to do to that plug when they update the firmware on it?
Reset it?
They got to reset it. And you know what happens when the plug my computer's plugged into resets?
Computer dies.
My computer resets. So, yeah, the whole process. So I bring up the app to turn something on or turn something off. It's like new firmware detected. And I'm like, So then I got to RDP into my computer, shut everything down, shut my computer down, accept the firmware. Oh.
IoT, baby. Life changer.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff. So we go ahead and go live since you finally got your stuff fixed now?
Sounds like something we should probably do.
All right.
Oh, and hello, Dan. I just saw you sneak in here.
Dan's been lurking around in there.
He wants to hear what ridiculous power apps things I'm going to say. Don't worry, Dan. You will not be disappointed.
Only ridiculous power apps things and stuff he says.
Oh, yeah. It's never anything good.
Let's hit it.
All right. Let me scroll up here. I mean, I'm ready. You don't need me for anything. But
That's true.
Lori's here, so you have to ask her.
I didn't tweet the URL. Just a second. Where's that? What's the URL? Oh my God. It was up here in the thing with the dealio. Oh, let's be above that. There it is. Oh, that's the spot. Okay, so hold on to your Twitters, folks.
Don't worry, I'm going to fall asleep standing here. That's the real reason I stand up, folks. I fall asleep if I have to listen to Todd talk too long if I'm sitting down.
It's
he
true.
Can't deny it. Look at him. He's like, Several people are typing. They're all saying hello.
Saying how rude that you would fall asleep and miss all the great things that Todd says.
I'm still waiting on the first great thing.
All right, I am ready. Lori, are you ready? I'm assuming she's ready.
Yeah, she said she was ready like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, then we will do it. Counting it down. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Todd and Shane's Cloudy Podcast, number 378, recorded live Wednesday, February 28th, 2018. I am your host, and still an Olympic curling fan. It was good to see the guys get their medal last week. I'm Todd Clint. You can contact me on Twitter at Todd Clint, Instagram at Todd Clint, though I don't know if I've ever posted there in my life. You can email me, Todd at toddclint.com. You can send an owl with a letter for me, whatever. I'm here. Just let me know. Reach out to me. I'm a friendly guy. I'd love to chat. I'm on LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. Shane, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and how they can contact you.
So my name is Shane Young, and I was really excited to see the curling guys win, right? Because the first article I saw was, look at these Olympic athletes rocking the dad bod. And I'm like, hey, the dad bod. I got one of those. I am in style because these guys won a curling medal. So yes, folks, I too could be an Olympic athlete with this dad bod I'm rocking over here.
I saw somebody else that showed a picture of the 5 of them standing up there and said, this looks less like Olympic athletes and more like 5 dads that went out for a beer and had their picture taken. I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
Well, there you go, Todd. We could get into curling.
It looks so. I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but a couple of weeks ago, I had a family birthday party thing while the curling was going on, the mixed doubles. I guess you can't have a mixed singles. And like we ended up watching curling for like 3 hours that afternoon, and we started out like just mocking it incessantly. And these guys are terrible. And by the end of the 3 hours, like we had the rules down. We were talking about the strategies. We were guessing what they were going to do. I mean, we were totally into it. So it was a good time. And then I was at the gym a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and I was getting ready to go home, and they got TVs on with sports stuff on, and there was, I think the women's curling was on then. And a couple of guys were like, this is stupid. Curling's so dumb. And I'm like, it's not. Like, she's going to do the thing with the thing. We stood in the locker room and didn't move for like 10 minutes while that match was, curling is saying, I think somebody explained it as hypnotic or it was just, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, over the last couple months, there's been too many stories that have started with, I was standing in the locker room with a bunch of dudes. I really think we need to temper those down a little bit. I don't know where they're headed. I'm always a little nervous. There's always a pucker factor over here when you start those stories. Like, is this where the show finally goes dark? So
is this what we have to do the after hours so I can finish my stories?
Yeah.
Like Lori said, I don't think of it as curling so much as chess on ice. That's
so distinguished.
But tell the folks how to get hold of you.
Hit me up on Twitter at Shane's Cows. If you want to talk about pictures of Todd in the locker room, I got you there.
Nobody's taking pictures of me in the locker room, thank God.
You're right. I don't know if you know how this works, this whole internet thing. The kids these days, they do what they want to do, and they take pictures.
Well, I guess my response to that is anybody that takes a picture of me in the locker room gets exactly what they deserve. That's their punishment is all. It's all built right.
So speaking of pictures, right, next week we'll be out and we'll be sharing a hotel room. So if you guys need any pictures of Todd, maybe Todd always talks about what do you want the Patreon site. Is it pictures of Todd sleeping? I mean, for $5, I'll take all the pictures of Todd sleeping you want.
That's true. I will say one thing. When Shane and I share a hotel room, I don't wear earplugs or any of those. I have to take a very, very defensive posture when I'm, because you never know when you can try to sneak a picture of something or, try to prevent me from flooding the bathroom.
Abort. All right. So on to production notes.
So speaking of next week, we will probably not have a show next week. We're not entirely sure. Next week is the MVP Summit, and Shane and I will be out in Redmond and Bellevue for that. We're not sure what our schedule is going to be like exactly. What we're going to be able to do. It's 2 hours behind. So, I mean, so don't expect there to be a podcast next week. If we can do a non-live one, we might just record one somewhere, find a meeting room somewhere or something and do it like that.
We'll do it from the bus, right? We'll be stuck on the bus driving to and fro campus. We'll sit there and we'll be like two guys on a bus, do a podcast that way.
Yeah. So a bunch of people do that. They do podcasts in their cars driving around. So, but anyway, so expect to have next Wednesday morning open because we will probably not take your time, probably not a live show. The week after that is spring break. And, oh yeah, it's awesome. Dan's going to be at the MVP Summit. By God, Dan, if you don't come find us at the MVP Summit next week, you are dead to us.
True story.
Go
ahead.
Good. No, I was going to say, and then the next week I'm going to be on spring break and I'm not sure what we're going to do there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're on spring break though. I'll at least be here. So
yeah,
I will be the rock, the anchor, the thing that you can plan your lives around. Whether or not that guy shows up, who knows? Maybe after I meet Dan, replace you with him, right? So
are you going to kick me out of my own podcast?
Kick you out of your own podcast, and it'll be all about power apps. All of a sudden, it'll be kind of a sad, weird day.
Oh, that is funny. So yeah, Dan, absolutely come find us. I don't know. So the problem with doing the podcast live when we're traveling, finding a decent internet connection and all that. The other thing is just all the crap we have to take. So when I travel, I have had my bags delayed enough that I try to check bags as little as possible. And so doing things, like this, then we have to take microphones and it just becomes more crap.
Yeah, no, right. And I guess that's the thing, right? We have a hard time doing the show, right? Those of you who tune in early, it takes a lot for us to do this. And this is the perfect condition, right? I got my really fancy computer, I got my fancy mic, I got 2 webcams, 2 monitors, all this stuff, and we can barely make it work. So we're in a hotel room. We both got a Surface and a webcam and a PlayStation handheld mic. It gets real shady real fast. Yeah.
There's just a lot of things working against us, but we'll see what we can do. But the week after that, for sure, Shane will be on. I don't know what my family stuff's going on. I might need a break from them. We'll see. So Shane mentioned it earlier, the Patreon stuff. We're still considering setting up a Patreon site. For those of you that watch other podcasts or listen to other podcasts, that's a way kind of to give a little bit back to the podcaster, help them out a little bit, and then you get something in return. And so Shane and I have agreed. We're happy to do the first part. We are happy to take your money. We have no problems about that. But we're looking for ideas on what to give back. So with Patreon, the people who are patrons to a podcast, they get something extra. They get extra episodes. They get whatever. And we're curious what your ideas are about that. So things that other podcasts you listen to do, whatever, shoot us a note about that. And also my website rejiggering is coming along, and actually we'll probably talk about that next. But if you have any ideas for things to do with my website or the podcast website, let us know. And I'm talking about different content, arrangements, get it off of SharePoint 2010, whatever. We'll open at that. So let's actually move on to the topics. Let's do that. So my website, for the last couple of months, I moved the hosting, I rebuilt it and all that. It's coming along pretty well. I've been happy with it. Kind of the big thing that I've been dealing with the last week or working on is that search works now. So for many months, years maybe, search on my blog did not work. The search service app was broken. The web analytics service app was broken. Databases were corrupt. Dogs and cats living in harmony. It was all a pretty bad deal. So when I rebuilt it, search is working. So that's been great. And I've been doing the thing that Shane and I always preach when we talk to admins. I go in every couple of days, every 3 days, and look at search and look at the web analytics on search to see how it's working. So I can tell that it's working. I can tell that people are using it. More importantly, I go through and look at the terms that people are searching for. So part of it is just fun because I love seeing the referrers that come in on the web analytics and the search terms and all that kind of stuff. Because there's obvious stuff, Bing and Google and DuckDuckGo and all those. But I also love seeing some weird ones that show up, people's blogs and things like that. And then internal web pages. I love that one because you can see somebody's written a wiki somewhere internally, and it's, corporate portal.abc or something that's clearly not on the internet, and then there's a link to something. So I love seeing those. But I also like going through and seeing what words people are searching for and kind of get an idea what they might be looking for, and then setting up best bets, things like that. The other thing is failed search requests. I go in and see what people are searching for that aren't giving results and try to figure, back into what they're looking for and set up best bets for that. So in 2010, those are called best bets. In SharePoint 2013 and 2016, they're called query rules, but it's the same idea. So I think, again, that's something Shane and I have been preaching for 10 years, probably, or more. And I think that's an important thing to look at, is see what your users are searching for inside of SharePoint, and then and try to help them get there.
Yeah, right. We're still looking for that first company to hire the full-time search administrator whose whole job is just to sit there and massage the search, because I think there's ROI there. Maybe not at the high rates of salaries that Todd Quint gets paid, but you get an intern, and I think their whole job would be just to go through those logs on a daily basis, find the content, curate the content. And I think you get a lot of value there, but no one's taken up on it yet.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. And if you're somebody that goes to my blog, if there's some search term, like Shane is good, he references my blog for a lot of things. And so I try to put short URLs that are easy to remember for the things that he's looking for, and then best bets also. So if you're somebody who's out there and you go to my blog for the same thing all the time, you're like, oh my God, he's got that script where I create search and I can never remember that. Let me know. Let me know what search term you're looking for or something like that, and I'm happy to include it.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, yeah. So another thing that Shane mentioned that I should do to my blog, and I have to find the exact term that he used because it was very funny.
Very technical.
Yes. So we were talking about, I tweeted out the link to this and all that, and Shane and I were IMing, and he said, I realized that when you post links to toddclint.com, you don't get that little title cards of cool. We can talk about fixing that. And so my response was, little title cards of cool. I can't wait to find out what that means, because I had never heard that turn of phrase before. And what he meant was, when you tweet things or Facebook post things, it's the little preview that comes up, and there's some things you have to do on the web server to get, things set up like that. So I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. I used to have a favicon, which is, if you're in your web browser, you used to have the little Trans Am thing when you went to my site. That ended up being on the file server itself and not in SharePoint. So one of my many crashes, I lost that. So I need to redo that. But this is like the next generation of those. And I said, okay, it's never enough for you, Shane. I get my blog up. It's faster. Search works. I make all your best bets. Now I have to have the pretty little title cards, whatever. I'm like, I need to look into that. And he's like, oh, hey, I've got this blog post that explains how to do that. I think you should check it out. The guy that wrote it really seems to know what he's doing. And so he pastes the URL into IM, and I'm like, this feels like a Rick roll, but it's more like a Shane roll where you're trying to trick me into reading something that you've written, because it's a matter of principle, I don't ever. And he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you who wrote it. And I look at the URL, and it's like linkedin.com/things you need to do to your website -Shane Young. And I'm like,
wah, wah.
Nice try, loser. But turns out, don't tell Shane this, but I did read it, and it wasn't all bad. So this is the stuff that I will be doing. This blog post that Shane wrote is specifically about Facebook, but about getting good little title cards in Facebook. But there's a similar thing for Twitter. So I'll be doing that here in the next week or so.
Yeah, and with Twitter, right, there's a lot more moving parts. They have kind of different styles. So whether you want just one for your whole website, if you want to have different cards for each blog post, a little more work can go into the Twitter atmosphere, or you can just set the one generic one for Twitter. So it'd be a fun little exercise for you.
Yeah, and I check my Twitter analytics once in a while, and they always put this little nasty gram in there. They're like, tweets with pictures get more attention, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, quit nagging me. But then I was looking for something like I left work and cooked supper and all that stuff last night. Got the kids to bed and hadn't been on Twitter or anything for a few hours. So TweetDeck was open and I was kind of scanning through to see what was going on, and I absolutely found my eyes being drawn to the tweets that had pictures in them. I'm like, ah. So this is another way to add a little extra oomph to my tweets.
There you go, right? That or up your meme game, one of the two.
I wish I could. I would love to up my meme game. Oh, so completely unrelated. Somebody who watches Paul and Brad's podcast, I can't remember which. It's like The First Ring. They do a couple. No, but he has taken Family Guy scenes and made videos of those two talking to Family Guy scenes, and it is hysterical.
Yeah, those two. They're special.
Yep. So that I would love to think someday we would rise to the level of having a Brian and Stewie scene that has our podcast behind it, and it's very fun stuff.
Nice. Let's see. Topics wise, also I think it was worth noting Microsoft this last week they released a new version of the CSOM, the client side object model, for our dear beloved friend SharePoint.
Yes.
SharePoint Online to roll in new features. As part of that, also they released some more of those PowerShell commandlets that does the actual Microsoft package, the package of 17 commandlets or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So something to watch out for. I don't know. I've seen some weird behavior since they've done this. I can't prove that that's causing any of my weird problems, but it's worth noting.
Yeah. Yeah. And Shane and I were troubleshooting a bug that he's got yesterday. And it was a thing that has worked for months or years. His PowerShell code has been untouched, but now all of a sudden it doesn't work. It very much feels like they've changed something on their end that does that. And this is the other side of that double-edged sword of rapid stuff. So we're going to try to chase it down, try to reproduce it, and then start running it through the ranks.
Yep. And so Mark asked, how's that impact the SharePoint PnP stuff? Well, remember, kids, the patterns and practices PowerShell is just a wrapper around a bunch of CSOM calls. So
yeah.
That's exactly what I was messing with, Mark. I was running some PnP stuff that wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And I'm sure that the PnP's probably got a new release coming out here in the next few days, which, I don't know. I'm not saying anything's broke. I'm just saying everybody should kind of be paying attention if something's not doing what they want to do. I didn't even tell you, Todd. Someone else sent me a thing this morning. They were having problems with a camel query, right? So when you do like get PnP list item, you can do a query, which is camel. And he's like, here's me using that camel in, one of those camel builder tools, returns my result. Here's me using that same query in PnP. I'm getting all the results. So it's not filtering. It's just returning all the list items. I'm like,
yeah,
this sounds a little funny, but I haven't had a chance to test or reproduce that one either yet.
Yeah. And so to Mark's question, that is, you take the good with the bad. So on one hand, the folks that write the SharePoint PnP, so I was talking to Erwin about this a couple of months ago. Erwin is not a Microsoft guy. He works for Rencor, I think. But he's the guy that owns the PnP stuff. And he talks to the folks at Microsoft, VESA normally, about what things are coming to the CSOM on the the client side and the server side. And so they start writing that functionality into the PnP PowerShell so that when it goes live, on SharePoint Online or whatever, the commandlets are there. So in one aspect, it impacts the PnP PowerShell because it lights up more functionality. But then on the other hand, if something gets broken, it breaks the PnP PowerShell. So it can go both ways.
Yes, it
but
can.
So another thing is I'm on a couple of PowerShell Facebook groups, and man, it was just like I couldn't have directed a slower ball across the plate. Somebody's like, hey, I need to run some PowerShell, but it's against the SharePoint server, and the person who runs it can't log into the SharePoint server, and I don't want to make them a farm admin. Is there any way I can do PowerShell? Why, yes. Yes, there is. So that's good stuff.
Yeah. So speaking of things that might not be good stuff, I don't know how you feel about this one, right? But early yesterday, at some point yesterday, they announced that our dear friends in Seattle, no, not Microsoft, but the other ones, Amazon, they are going to purchase Ring and all those fancy doorbells with those spy cameras for $1 billion. So
yes,
I don't know how I feel about this. I don't own anything Ring yet, but that was kind of the route I'd planned on going, once I started making money again so I could buy toys. But with Ring, it's interesting because we know that Amazon's dying to get in our houses, right? They made these Echoes and the Alexa or whatever her name is things, really nice and cheap. So you can get a bunch of those spying on us all the time. And then they made these other devices and they're like, well, those are getting the uptake. So they're going to buy Ring, who owns like 75% of the smart doorbell market already. And then if you look, I saw another article that said that just last month, Ring updated their terms and conditions that they're going to add facial recognition into the mix. So they're going to start, categorizing who comes to your house. And
yep. I do find the phrase smart doorbell to be just hysterical. Like, if my grandfather could come back from the dead and I would say, there's a thing called a smart doorbell now. Yeah, I mean, it would be, it's just hysterical that there's such a thing as a smart doorbell. But yeah, and my take on this is one of those things. I mean, I generally try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I love the functionality that this will enable. I love it. I love all that. I recognize, though, that Enable to give me that functionality, I have to give them access to things that they could use for evil. And I don't want the evil, but I really want the functionality. Like, that'd be super cool. Like, we're going away for spring break in a couple of weeks. It would be super awesome if I could just tell my Ring doorbell for the next week when my neighbor comes over to feed my cat, when you recognize her face, just unlock the door. How awesome would that be? That would just, she doesn't have to get a key or a code, just has to have her face with her, and then she can get in and do whatever. That functionality is awesome. I would love that. But then, there's all the privacy things that come from that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm an evildoer, right? So I'm sitting here thinking, all right, if I'm Amazon, I'm watching the UPS guy come, and I'm scanning the boxes that are in his hands, and if they're not coming from Amazon, if they're coming from jet.com or something like that, right? Be like, I need to push this person a little harder, right? I need to give them some more coupons to get them shopping back at Amazon.
Yeah.
Or the packages that come, in where you can see what it is, right? Oh, look, they bought this stuff, or they're carrying Kroger bags when they walk in. Let's send them some Whole Foods coupons, right? My mind immediately goes to all the evil ways that they can exploit permanently knowing what's happening at my front door. I don't know.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't even think of those as evil. I mean, I think of those as benefiting me because I'm going to pay less for Amazon stuff because they're going to say, hey, we need to get this guy over. We need to convince him that, Wayfair is an evil place. By the way, Wayfair is an evil place. I mean, I want that because I guess, I'm more realistic. And like, I know that my web pages have to have ads. If I have to have ads on my web pages for the model to work, I want the ads to be something I care about. And so, but to do that, they have to know who I am and know what I like and all that. And so it is rife for abuse though. And I completely understand that.
Well, yeah. And so maybe, right, because, getting made fun of in the chat room as well for saying coupons are evil. And
just how you say it, I think, is what they're making fun of.
Well, that could be. I probably mispronounced coupons. But so I get all that, right? I get the upside of you in the short term pay less. But what is really going to happen, right, is, all right, so they saw I carried in my Kroger bags. They're like, all right, we're going to get this guy to stop shopping at Kroger. So, Shane, here's free food for the next year, right? No more Kroger shopping for you. Yay, I win. Yep. Kroger goes out of business. The following year, Amazon's like, well, we're the only game in town. Your food now costs twice as much as it ever did, or 10x what it did. Because if you think about, kind of, it's just the model that Walmart applied to all these small towns all over, America, right? They dropped a Walmart in. They put everybody out of business. Every general store, everywhere that you could buy anything in that town went out of business. And then Walmart said, all right, here go our prices. Yep. And in the end, the consumer lost, right? I mean, that's, I guess, still debatable. The end hasn't been here. But so far, it looks like the consumer is going to lose. Small businesses lost in it. So I just worry that Amazon, in their exploitation, that short term, here, Todd, here's a coupon, is going to end us in a bad place of, hey, there's no more Kroger for you to shop at. You have to buy your food from us.
Yeah, and that will happen. So I have two comments to that. Number one, Walmart did all the things that you said they did. But let's not forget that the businesses they put out of business put somebody else out of business to get in there. Like, because there was a great thing. So we've chatted a lot about our local Facebook pages. And so there was a discussion a couple of years ago on the one for here in Ames that was talking about all the businesses that the terrible Walmart put out. I remember I used to go to Frank's hardware store and now it's not there because Walmart put them out of business. And used to be a grocery store here that I went to, but Walmart put them out of business. All true. Every bit of that's true. But when Frank's hardware store went into business, he put out of business another smaller hardware store that was down the street. And when that grocery store went in, it took out somebody else. I mean, so that is just how things go. Walmart is not doing anything different than every business that before them has ever done. And Walmart did the thing that you said. They came up with a better product for whatever reason, put the other places out of business, raised the prices a little bit, got complacent. Amazon came along and said, we will sell it even cheaper and deliver it to your house for 2 days for free. And now Walmart's feeling the bite, and now they have to up their game. So in your scenario, what will absolutely happen, Amazon free food for a year. You jump to the part where Kroger goes out of business. I would put that back on Kroger and say, if they go out of business, it's because they didn't adapt and they didn't fix it, not because Amazon did anything crazy or wrong. But again, I like to see the other side of it, but that's, so I don't know. I like the stuff.
I mean, yeah. And like I said, I'm wondering, I just, it's interesting. And I also had no idea I said coupons so weird. I guess it's coupons. Is that better?
I think it's both. I don't know. And so I would have a ring, but I haven't checked to see, there's voltage requirements and all that. My house has a brick facade where the doorbell's at, and I don't know how I could get. I just haven't looked. What I need to just play with one and see if I could use it.
I bet they have a solution for you.
They do. And the other thing that's funny is about 100 years ago, I read a book about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Two things from that struck me. Number one, I swear to God, it was written by his mom, because if my mom had to write a book about me, it would be like that book about how smart Jeff Bezos was and all those things. But the interesting thing was, maybe we don't anymore. Amazon originally was just a website where you could buy books. I mean, 20 years ago, when you went to Amazon, it was only for books. And I'm old enough now that in my head, Amazon is still kind of the place you buy books. But the interesting thing about that was Jeff Bezos didn't set out to make an online book place. That was not what he wanted. He wanted to make the thing that Amazon is now, but he realized that Rome wasn't built in a day and he needed to, move up to it. And books were a super easy thing for him to buy and ship and sell. And it was just his way into the online retailing market. And so they started with books. They started with CDs. Kids, ask your parents about CDs. All of those things. But that wasn't what he wanted to do. He just knew that was a means to an end to get all that built up to do the thing that they're doing now. And I'm like, that's really great, because 20 years ago, I would have never thought to have the idea that Jeff Bezos has. I'm like, oh, you buy books online? That's brilliant. But it was all just part of a gradual thing. I'm like, that's good vision there. I like that.
And so, right, and this is back to you see positive, I see negative. Did he really, or is he full of crap, right? Did he, Well, that's why I started to think that it's like his mom wrote the book, right, because exactly. Right. Winners write history.
yes. History is written by the winners. Absolutely.
So I don't know. We won't get off on that tangent, because look at us. We were worried we didn't have enough, and now we're like way behind. Yeah,
we're already 2 topics in.
Good job, us. So one of the things I wanted to point, talking about change. So Square, they announced earnings last night. They were mostly good. I don't know. This is our stock talks, not really, but as part of kind of the Q&A where the analysts ask questions and things, one of the things they pushed on was, you added Bitcoin support last in the fall, I think, and what's your thoughts there? And they're like, well, right now it's not material. I think he said something like it's not even remotely material, like the transactions that are happening or the money they're making off of it. But they said they're going to continue to push here because they get that it's going to change the world, right? And so they don't know how, they don't know where it's going to fit in, but they're going to continue to have it as part of their platform, so they can continue to experiment and learn the mechanics of all this, so that when it finally does come on, we finally do figure out what it is Bitcoin's future really is, they're right there ready to take it from people. So I just thought that was back to your whole, good foresight, good investment. And,
yeah,
and it also just reminds me of, a conversation you and I've had off the air mostly. I don't think we've had this one on air too much, but you know, you were one of the people I've tried to convince, or I did convince you, you know, to go and buy $100, $500 worth of cryptocurrencies just to understand how it works, right? Call it education. You're not trying to make $1 million. You're not going to make $1 million off of it anymore, but buying a handful of those, seeing how the system works, how volatile the market is, what it takes to get your money in, what it takes to get out. There's a lot of education to be had because one way or another, this cryptocurrency thing is going to affect us. You know, the kids always win. The kids believe in it. Cryptocurrency in some capacity is going to go mainstream. I think just the more we can understand about it today, the better off we all are long term.
Yeah, I agree. And part of that discussion that Shane and I had about that was talking to our different investment folks. And they're like, oh, cryptocurrency is terrible. It's bad. And we're like, well, tell us about the process. And they're like, yeah, we have no idea. We've never bought it. We've never sold it. We have just read some industry stuff that our other investor buddies wrote that told us it was bad. And so that's why it's bad. And it might be right now, but like Shane said, it was best for us to just roll up our sleeves and get in there and buy some and trade some and figure out what it's like.
Yeah, I set up a miner just to see it. It's not as interesting or sexy as I'd hoped it was, but I set up a miner just so I can say I mined long enough to understand how the mining process works.
Yeah, and Shane, nothing about you is interesting or sexy, so that was no surprise there.
Even when my hair sticks out over here?
Yes. And so speaking of Square, an interesting kind of tangential story. The grade school that my kids go to, their PTO had a big event last Friday. And so we were involved in that, and they sold food, and they've done this for 100 years, and they do it, 3 or 4 times a year, nothing new. But something they did new this year was they added Square, so that when they were selling food and selling all the things, they could take credit cards, because credit cards are becoming so important, and they've gotten so much feedback from parents that was like, well, I would have bought more things. I would have bought more books or food or whatever, but I just don't carry much cash on me anymore. So this was their first outing, buying things, letting people buy stuff with Square. And they didn't advertise it at all, didn't mention it in a single email, didn't mention it on a single flyer. Just when the parents got there, it was an option. There was, they had the money box and all that, and then they had a tablet. And they made several $100s with it. There was, I can't remember what percentage of the actual take it was that came from credit cards, but as soon as people saw the credit card thing, like, absolutely. Yeah, I expected to pay cash, but since credit cards are an option, and it does the swipe. We got the one that's got the Bluetooth chip reader, so you can dip, you can do all that kind of stuff. And it was a big success. Parents loved it.
Yeah, I mean, because the expectation, right? You pay with credit card.
Yep. And it was funny, even though I've done this a bunch of times and I was involved in this, I didn't remember to bring any cash with me. I just didn't have any on me. I had like $3, and my kids wanted to eat and wanted to buy crap. And I'm like, it's a good thing we take credit cards, because and it was super easy. I can't remember what we paid for the reader, but then just hooked it up to Square. I had an Android tablet laying around. Big surprise to anybody who's a fan of the show. And, it was all pretty good. Yep. So if you do those kind of things, check Square out, because it's far easier to take credit cards than you probably think it is.
Another stock that I own. So yeah, you guys check that out, please.
Yep. And Lori in the chat room mentioned a thing that Sweden is moving towards no cash. And that is absolutely a thing. And to the point where I was there a year ago or 2 years ago, I forget. And there was a big grocery store inside of a mall. They take no cash. Like, you can't pay in that store with physical money. It just doesn't exist. You have to use credit card.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. So good stuff. All right, take it away.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to jump around here because we're running out of time. It's surprise, surprise. So one of the things I wanted to remind everyone, especially since our buddy Dan is in the chat room, though he's probably left, Power Apps, people. It's 2018 is the year of Power Apps. It continues to grow. I continue to get more and more people asking me about it. Customers showing up wanting Power Apps built. Other consulting companies want to use Bold Zebra's Power Apps so they can resell it. It's a thing. So I know that this is a SharePoint-y kind of show, but as you guys kind of look at where your skills should be evolving, things you can do, go learn about Power Apps. I cracked out a couple more videos this week. I just keep covering core topics, but even if you're not watching my videos, sad for you, I really just can't remind you guys enough that Power Apps, it's coming like a freight train, and it really is a long-term answer.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of links we'll put in the show notes for Shane's videos. As always, you can find the links. If you're watching this on YouTube, they're probably below. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to toddclint.com/podcast378, and all of the links that we've talked about will be in there. I'm with you. I think Power Apps is finally going to break through, finally going to be the thing that replaces InfoPath. There have been a couple of false starts on that, but I think Power Apps is really going to work. And I think that is in no small part to our friend Richard Riley being at the helm of that, a long-time friend of ours from Microsoft, and he's a part of Power Apps now.
Yeah,
I give him full credit.
I'll tell him that. He'll be like, Todd who?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which one do you want to go with next?
Well, I was going to say kind of a related thing is Gartner, those people who tell businesses what they should use, released their Magic Quadrant for analytics and BI platforms yesterday or the day before. And Microsoft is recognized as a leader there for their BI platforms. Not exactly Power Apps and all those things, but it's all part of the same ecosystem. So this is an obvious technology for folks that do SharePoint. We've talked a lot about how the SharePoint admin job is changing or going away, and Power Apps and Power BI and all of these other things with power in the name are a good place to start looking for your next adventure if you're a SharePoint admin wondering what to do next.
Yeah, and your point's really great about it being an ecosystem, right? That's really where this stuff kicks butt, right? Power Apps is it just builds apps. And then if it needs workflow, it goes and talks to Microsoft Flow. If you need to integrate some business intelligence, it talks to Power BI, and vice versa, right? They all work together. They're building this just one all-up story. And it's what makes Office 365 just so darn compelling, because you get in there and you realize, all right, I did this just to get an email box and a SharePoint site, but then holy bagoli, I don't know if that's a word or not.
It is now.
All of this awesomeness that is, all these new things that you can take advantage of. And most of it just rolls in, right? Power Apps is free. I mean, there's premium versions of it, but the core, the Power Apps that I do and work with every day, they're free. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's tough to resist the siren song of that. It's coming. Speaking of free, Microsoft's Slack competitor, feels funny even saying that, Teams.
Yes.
Is going to be coming up with a free SKU to lure folks over to Teams from Slack. I mean, I drink the Microsoft Kool-Aid by the pitcher. I'm sold on all that. Teams is just not compelling for me. We'll see if maybe this helps it kick off. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess we should point out that this whole idea they're going to have a free version is all conjecture, right?
Yes.
So this was based on Brad Sams getting a tip from someone else who had went through one of the dev releases that had just came out. He kind of went digging in the code, and in the code he found a bunch of references to free SKUs and the upgrade cycle and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the thing that's holding people back is the price. But I mean, it's coming, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't used Teams once.
I have. It's just got a bunch of weak spots that make it not worth me getting rid of Slack for.
Fair enough.
So, the last note, this is a fun one. A buddy of mine on Twitter, a guy I used to work with at Rackspace, a guy named Major Hayden, tweeted this. I use Chrome for my major browser on Windows, and he mentioned something I'd never seen before. If you have Chrome open and you hold down Shift and hit Escape, it opens up a Chrome Task Manager. And what this is really good for is seeing which tabs and which extensions and all that are using a lot of RAM and a lot of CPU. And so we've all seen that. You look in the Windows Task Manager and you see Chrome, a bunch of instances, and it's using 47 gazillion gigabytes of RAM. And you're like, I wonder which tab is doing that. This will show you. I'm looking at you, Facebook. So if you think you've got a page that's not behaving well, Shift Escape gets you in there. I don't have it in the notes, but another thing that I will do sometimes if I have a page acting up is I'll open up the developer tools in Chrome and see what things aren't loading and what's broken. And that's F12, I think, in Chrome. Yep. I forget.
So speaking of Chrome, so maybe you can tell me what's wrong with my Chrome. Yeah, probably not. I know. But so one of the problems I have, the biggest issue I have with Chrome is I come in the morning, right, all groggy-eyed and whatever, turn on the heater, try and warm this place up just like you do. But when I turn my computer on, so I wake it up from sleep, and then I go to my Chrome browser to hit refresh so I can look at all my wonderful YouTube analytics. Chrome, I kid you not, every morning takes about a minute, just slightly less than a minute, to reconnect to the internet after the computer wakes up from sleep. Everything else works. Outlook's working, Edge is working, Internet Explorer is working, Firefox is working. But for whatever reason, anytime I wake up from sleep, Chrome takes about a minute to find the internet again. Why is that?
Interesting. I don't know. So I never sleep my computer. I either, well, I mean, whatever it does. Was that funnier than I meant it to be?
You added an extra word in there you didn't realize. Keep going.
I will shut it off when I'm updating my, Belkin things. But I haven't seen that, but I know that Chrome is almost an operating system in and of itself. So I think it probably has hooks into things that browsers don't normally do. So I wonder if that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I do not. Yeah.
And it doesn't, right? I mean, I clearly haven't done anything to try and fix it. But it just, every morning, I'm like, what are you doing, Chrome? Why can't you get with the internet? Everybody else is with the internet.
Yeah, and Brody in the chat room is saying that he uses Edge as his primary browser, so he doesn't have to worry about all those extensions soaking up RAM because you just don't get them. You don't have to worry about that. But I'm more like Mark. I wanted to love Edge, but it sucks, and I can't.
I would say I am 50-50 between Edge and Chrome. Now, and I will say, though, yesterday I was trying to take an Excel workbook and create a SharePoint list in SharePoint Online from that workbook. Can't do that in Chrome. Can't do that in Edge. You got to open up good old IE and then put it in your trusted sites. I was like, oh my God, I just went back to 1974.
Yep.
I was embarrassed.
I use IE a bunch because I don't have Firefox or anything. I use Chrome, and if something breaks in Chrome, I use IE. The only time I ever use Edge is when I click the icon by accident because it looks so much like the IE one. I can never remember which little blue E is which. But yeah, Edge just no worky.
See, and I'm the opposite. I don't use IE unless I accidentally click it. But I use, like I said, Edge about 50% of the time.
That's why our synergy is so good.
Yeah, yin and yang. You're positive, I'm negative. I say coupon, that word wrong.
Yep. So we'll spend a couple minutes talking about what's going on in the community. May 4th and 5th, Nashville is all on fire. Friday, Nashville has the Cloud Friday, and Saturday it has SPS Friday, SharePoint Saturday Friday. So we'll put the notes for those in the chat room, but you can go out and look for Cloud Friday Nashville or all those things. Good stuff there. Montreal has a SharePoint Saturday on June 2nd. They would love you to fill out a call for speakers, so check the link for that. In August is SharePoint Saturday Charlotte. That's August 11th, and they've got some stuff up for that. And then SPS Vancouver, which is not because you didn't put it in the right spot last week, and I just copied over. That is April 14th. I'm going to fix that right now. Don't you guys go anywhere. I'm going to put it because I'm going to move it, and then with the, oh my God, I think I just pulled something. All right, so that one. So SPS Vancouver is April 14th. I've spoken at that one before, and that's a good event.
I still didn't get my passport renewed. Whoops.
Yep. But my favorite SharePoint Saturday event coming up is SharePoint Saturday Omaha, April 7th. I hear they have a great lineup. I mean, just stellar speakers. It's in the Midwest, and it's just, great people. And they have one of the most impressive speaker lineups that I have seen at a SharePoint Saturday in years, perhaps.
Is that the Warren Buffett rumor I heard?
I can neither confirm nor deny that Warren Buffett will be there. Maybe just in attendance. Sometimes he just likes to kick back and not have to work and not have to prepare anything.
Just wants to learn about some more SharePoint. Got it.
So
exactly. Who's going to be the keynote speaker then?
I hear he's great. I hear he is just loved by all. Okay, it's me. Yeah, I'm doing the keynote at SharePoint Saturday Omaha, April 7th, and then I'm also doing another session on PowerShell with Office 365.
Nice. Well,
yeah.
So speaking of keynotes, they actually asked me to do the keynote for SharePoint North America, right? It's coming up May 21st to 23rd in Vegas.
Did they now?
They asked me to do it. And I'm like, yeah, but if I do this, Jeff will be mad at me. Guys, I don't want Todd to be jealous. I'm up there without him. So I turned it down. So we're going to let Jeff Teeper do it. And he's got a lot of big announcements. Some of them are so secret they can't even tell us. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if you haven't heard, if you've been living under a rock, the SharePoint conference is back. It is May 21st through the 23rd in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. You can go to SharePointNA.com, SharePointConf.com. There's about a 16 URLs you can go to get there. But this is the big dog. There is none higher for SharePoint conferences this year. Microsoft has rolled their annual May event into this. So like Shane said, most of what Shane said was complete BS. But the part about Jeff Teeper doing the keynote and talking about a bunch of cool stuff is probably going to be there. So we will be there from start to finish. We're doing a couple of sessions. We're doing a day-long camp on Thursday for administrators. We'll do a meetup for the podcast. Absolutely, at some point we'll get together with everybody and hang out. So if you haven't already done this, for goodness sakes, run out to SharePointNA.com right now. Pause the podcast. If you're driving, pull over to the side of the road. Get your phone out, SharePointNA.com, and sign up. And if you use the referral code Clint, you get $50 off. $50 to spend however you would like. 50. Yeah.
Or you can use the word young, which is actually a lot easier to spell, and life will be much easier.
I don't think that's the case, and I don't think that code works. I think that makes you pay an extra $50. I haven't tried it, but I heard some.
Well, you should try. You should go out and put your credit card in, put the code in, see what happens. You report back.
You like that, do you? And then finally, the SharePoint, the SP TechCon is coming back to Boston, August 26th through 27th of this year. It's going to be at the Sheraton there by our favorite restaurant. You can go to sptechcon.com and sign up for that. And they're also doing a call for speakers, which I think is really cool. This has always been a more intimate conference. It's not got the glitz and the glamour and the thousands and thousands of people that the SharePoint conference has. And I love that they are opening up the call for speakers so that other people can get in and do some speaking at a conference like this. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great conference to us, right? We've been there for 1,000 times, and it's just a good, solid, friendly, not intimidating, not a scary place. You get to talk to the presenters. You interact with a lot more people. You have side conversations with other people that are doing similar things as you. It's just It's a different atmosphere, right? Whereas we go to SharePoint NA, that's gonna be a clicky thing. Now, luckily for you guys as podcast listeners, you're in the cool clique, so you're happy it's a click thing. But
we are the cool kids, so yeah.
How bad does that sound for a poor podcast or for the poor conference?
Yeah. So depending on where you are, geographically, what your budgets are like, there's something for everybody this year, and we'll be at as many of those. I've also added, if you go to toddclint.com, I've added the events that I'm going to be speaking at or attending at the bottom of that page. And so you can see where I'm going to be, maybe to avoid those events, I don't know, or come see them, but I'll try to keep that up to date for everybody.
All right. Well, I don't think we're too far over, so we should wrap this thing up quick.
Yeah, thank goodness that we found enough content. So thanks, everybody. We may or may not be live next week, but 2 weeks from today, for sure, Shane will be there and I'll be there. Thanks for joining us. Chat room, I'm going to stick around for a little bit. And we will see you maybe in a week, but for sure in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
See ya. And we're out. Okay.
We talk too much.
You talk too much. I agree. Yeah.
That's oh goodness.
So I got one short meeting this afternoon. Other than that, I'm free. So I will try to do that PowerShell thing this afternoon. I think I've got the notes out there. I really don't have anything to hang on my walls to cover this. Look less bare.
Yep. Then I guess just do what you gotta do, and I'll do something in post. You might not.
Oh, that's what I'm afraid of. That's the thing I'm terrified of happening. Yeah. So Mark's asking, if you can hang out with Scott Jameson and Dan Holm. If you're talking about SharePoint NA, Dan will for sure be there. Dan does the work of about 6 different people, and so you don't get a chance to hang out with Dan much because he's just always busy. But yeah, friendly guy, great guy. Been a friend for a long time, just a really busy guy. Dan, I will reach out to you and we will find a place to hang out at Summit. We will be around.
He wants me. Dan, do I get a hug? Will I get a hug if we meet in person? That's all people want to know.
So yeah, and we're staying at the Sheraton. Dan, and I'll get you our numbers and all that. I got your email address, Dan, so we'll figure something out. All right, it is coming up on lunchtime for you, Shane, and I got some stuff to take care of. So,
all right, well, I will cut this off. Chat room, peace out.
You guys, see you next week.